Gabrielle Union, you star as news anchor Mary Jane Paul in the BT drama Being Mary Jane. And although the show is competing for the Emmys for the first time now for its first season, you actually already won an Image Award for your performance in the pilot. How was that experience?
You know, it's humbling. You just go to work, you try to do your best, and if people acknowledge you, it's awesome. But it's really more like humbling when you consider the other people in your category, and they're all shows that you watch, and that they're must-see TV for you because you love the acting and the writing. So it's humbling. Like, really? Okay, cool. Like,
All right. Being Mary Jane is BET's first drama series, and it's been, a huge success. So why do you think audiences have connected with it? And what is this show really telling them?
I think it's telling them it's okay to be completely imperfect. I think we often say things about characters like, oh, they're flawed, but then everything in their life pretty much is perfect. You don't see any of the little things that make up, who we are as people. Magically, everything's sort of wrapped up in a bow at the end of 42 minutes. With Mary Jane, she often has not a clue how to handle a situation. She's often saying the wrong thing. She's often doing the wrong thing. While her house is pretty much, on point, you see her going to the bathroom. You see her, this season you see me vomit quite a bit. You see a lot more of the humanity that we don't often see with TV characters. I want to know if Frank Underwood has irritable bowel syndrome. We're never going to know that, or at least until they write it into an episode. But I want to know, if someone says, oh, my character's super naked and very vulnerable, but we only see you in a suit and tie, that's not the reality of life. Part of life is extremely messy and not perfect and not tied up into loose, the loose ends are very rarely tied up. So that's what we offer with Being Mary Jane, a true slice of life as we always say, as one Black woman's story. And I think a lot of people can relate to her.
Okay. So the show was originally titled Single Black Female, and would you say that this is making the show for a very specific demographic, kind of similar to how the CW only makes shows that appeal to 20-something women, or is this touching on something deeper and catering to a more important niche?
I think when we started out, it was a kind of a FUBU experience for us by us. But once we unleashed it on the world, I used to be able to tell a Bring It On fan. They had a similar look. I could tell, a Bad Boys 2 fan, they had a similar, look. Being Mary Jane fans, older white men, Asian ladies, there was an older Indian gentleman on the plane. I think BET, the idea is, it's for Black people. But once we put it on Netflix, it became the property of the world, and the audience is incredibly diverse. And whether or not they relate to Mary Jane specifically, they find her life entertaining or interesting. So yeah, the audience is way more wide, I think, than our original target.
So with the rise of cable and serialized storytelling, many actors and actresses in these kinds of interviews, they like to talk about how they've come to television because it's where the sophisticated rules in storytelling is. But you've kind of worked consistently for the past couple of decades, equally in film and television.
Yeah, I go where the check clears. God bless them that they follow the great writing. I go, the bank is weird about my mortgage being paid every month, so I tend to go where the opportunity is, and if the opportunity is in TV and that allows me to be creative and live my passion, great. As long as that check clears, I'm not doing anything for free. This was a great opportunity because it just so happened to have an amazing character, great writing, a creative team that I love and respect, and the check cleared. So it was a perfect storm of opportunity for me. And the bank is happy, really.
Okay, so your last big role on television was in the show Flash Forward 4 or 5 years ago. and that was on ABC. So how is that different than working with BET?
Well, with Flash Forward, the cast was really, really, really large. So I pretty much only got to work with John Cho, which was awesome. But we didn't. There wasn't a lot of cross pollination. With Being Mary Jane, we have a very large cast, but I work with every single one of them. And with Flash Forward, we were working, what is it, like 9 months out of the year. Being Mary Jane, this will be our longest season that we're shooting right now, and that's 12 episodes. And it's only 3.5, almost 4 months. So I like the schedule a lot better. It gives you a chance to do other things. I mean, you still get to do the get your TV fix in, but it also frees you up to have a life and to explore other opportunities.
Yeah, last year you did, I guess, 8 episodes plus the pilot, which aired as a movie like many months in advance. So how did that happen? Was that just kind of testing to see if audiences would respond to it, or?
No, it was always just done as a supersized first episode. They decided to release it as a film, but it was just more how they decided to roll it out. But it was always a series. We shot the supersized pilot first in 2011, 2012, like a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago, and it didn't come out for a year. And then, but we'd shot the whole first season, and then it was like, we got picked up, and it was like, well, of course we got picked up because that was the deal. But yeah, the pilot did really well as a film, and then it created a great soft cushion for the rest of the episodes to air, and we already had a built-in desire for more of Mary Jane.
Okay. How do you think your performance has shaped this character, or how have you altered your performance as you've discovered more about her across the season, and I guess now moving into season 2?
Like being okay with being vulnerable and not looking, again, it's like we say we love flawed characters, but we don't actually, as actors, a lot of times we're more worried about our brands or our images, to really do the work that's required to show vulnerability. So with Mary Jane, there's so much more that's been stripped down from my usual, the usual characters that I play that are way more perfect. I've been more open to different kinds of storylines than I have in the past. We really explore her sexuality in a real way, as much as you can, on basic cable. It's a lot more raw than I have ever allowed myself to appear. But I'm like, hell, I'm over 40. I mean, it's not like I'm an ingenue. If I can't be honest with a character now, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, and watching the pilot, I found her, very successful, respectful. By the time I got to the finale and people were calling her a homewrecker or stuff like that, I was kind of inclined to agree. So she's not, dealing drugs or killing people, but how do you reconcile playing a character who is making these bad decisions? Is that just part of being human, as you touched on earlier?
It's a part of humanity. Everyone in our life is painfully flawed. Like, not only do we not get it right sometimes, we don't get it right most of the time. And life is about kind of dealing with those consequences as they come. It's the little knocks. I mean, she made big, awful decisions, but a lot of times it's how she speaks to her brother, the lack of patience with her mother, idolizing her father, putting her father on a pedestal that he may or may not deserve. It's some of the little things that we sort of take for granted as actors and as with characters, because we sort of like our objects shiny and smooth. But with Mary Jane, there's a lot of rough edges daily, and it's a lot of the little things that make her completely flawed. Not like a lot of people love to say, perfectly imperfect. No, she's just straight up imperfect. Like, there's really not a lot of, I don't have a lot of excuses for her. She doesn't make great decisions. And whatever those motivations are, there, you know, if you're the people suffering from her consequences, it just sucks. And that's part of what Mary Jane is, just exploring what happens and the consequences of piss poor decision making.
Okay. So how about what's more fun about playing this character?
She has no censor. She really tells it like it is, and not in a Housewives of Atlanta kind of let me read you and flip over a table. She just doesn't suffer fools lightly. And even if that fool is her mother or her siblings or her coworkers, people that she probably should show a little bit more tact with, she just doesn't. She gets to say all the things that I would like to say in real life, but I don't want to be judged harshly. So I love getting to say the things that she says, because I can't say them in real life without terrible consequences.
Okay, so she plays a successful news anchor. So how do you think that plays into the show and reveals the character? Like, is this just a cop show where there's a different dead body every week, or are the stories supposed to be metaphorical? Or?
Well, we pull the stories from the headlines, but I mean, we're a little delayed, so some of the headlines by the time you see the episodes are a little old, but definitely things that you recognize, stories that you recognize. Like this upcoming season, we touch upon suicide in the Black community among higher socioeconomic men. But we use real life examples, some of whom were friends of mine, where we explored Ludacris's character last year when he killed himself. Just sort of when you really see the consequences of her as a newswoman, you know, doing what she's supposed to do, you know, as a journalist, who's not going to give even one of her closest friends a break because she wants the truth to get out there. Well, the truth had a consequence, and that's part of the joy and the pain of being a news person, a legit news person. So that's a great. Her being a news person it really adds another layer of vulnerability and aggression, and gives her daily struggles between right and wrong and the truth, because the truth is very rarely right or wrong. It is what it is, but you still have to face consequences.
BET has an Emmy campaign going for the show, and they've mailed out a DVD to voters that has the pilot, the finale, and also a mid-season episode, The Huxtables Have Fallen. So do you have a particular favorite episode or moment from the season, whether how it turned out or maybe how it was shooting?
Well, the Uber episode, which I think you have, it was our finale. Mainly because I'm working with two of my real life girlfriends. They were my friends before the show. Robin Lee, who plays the wife. When I go to her house, when Lisa Vidal's character, when Kara makes me go apologize to her, and I offer unsolicited advice on how to give better fellatio. That was fun to shoot. That was fun to shoot. And then also the scene with Kara, where we're drunk and she's just incredibly open and vulnerable about the pain of infidelity. That was a powerful scene that we shot. So it just so happened it fell within the same episode, and they just so happened to be two of my closest friends. So.
Okay, so you're nominated at the BET Awards, which is in a couple weeks. So, yeah. And you're shooting in Atlanta now. So on behalf of Gold Derby, thank you for taking your time to talk to us. And one final question, Gabrielle, what can fans expect from the second season that you're shooting now?
You can expect a lot of surprises. If you thought she was off the chain or out of pocket the first season, oh, you've seen nothing. A different parade of men in her life, a lot of work challenges. It's not an easy road this year for her work-wise, and family dynamics shifting. But it's a lot juicier than the first season. This season has been a lot of fun to play. I definitely look forward to going to work. And there were times when I was saying, it's the most raw and most vulnerable I've been as an actor. They take me to places this year that I was like, I don't think I'm ready. Like I'm gonna need to meet with my therapist first before I feel comfortable, really revealing these parts of myself or really touching upon this. I mean, and I didn't think we could go any further, or much further than where we took her before. But you definitely see a lot of Mary Jane this year in every way, shape, or form.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Riley.